Today, I want to take a closer look at two major updates impacting Nvidia and the semiconductor space. The first one we're going to look at did see that the Federal Register showed a new document of national security investigations of imports of semiconductors and semiconductor manufacturing equipment. So we're going to learn a little bit more about this document and what investors should be prepared about. The second thing I think is going to be very crucial is Nvidia is going to start manufacturing American-made AI supercomputers in the United States for the first time. So if you are not familiar with this channel, this might be new news to you. If you are following this channel, this is pretty much old news, but we are going to take a closer look at some of the new updates that they mentioned in here right now. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first, let's kind of start off. We are still in this tariff limbo when it comes to the semiconductor industry. Most recently, we are seeing that Trump has said that semiconductor tariffs are coming in the not distant future. So over the next few weeks, I personally believe we're not going to get much updates on tariffs, at least for the semiconductor market, until this kind of investigation is done. So if you go to the federalregister.gov website, there was a publication of national security investigations of imports of semiconductors and semiconductor manufacturing equipment. So we're going to look at this really quick, but pretty much what the title says is there is going to be a study done by the United States government, and it's looking for comments and information from other players as well to kind of help build up this investigation of how the semiconductor industry, the semiconductor manufacturing equipment industry is being impacted as being an import. We're going to look at some of those things, but in my opinion, I don't think tariffs into the semiconductor space will really come into effect until we finish this investigation. So this document is unpublished and it is scheduled to be published on April 16th of 2025, but you could download the unpublished PDF version. The unpublished PDF version is pretty much kind of like a template of what the full article should be, and it already has a lot of the meat behind it. So we can see here the summary. The summary is that Secretary of Commerce initiated investigations to determine the effects of the national security of imports of semiconductors and semiconductor manufacturing equipment, SME, and their derivative products, being your phones, being whatever you can create with semiconductor markets, right? This investigation has been initiated under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 as amended. Interested parties are invited to submit written comments, data, analysis, or other information pertaining to the investigation. Now, again, this is still kind of the template, but we can kind of maybe create some form of timeline. Here we can see dates. Comments may be submitted at any time, but must be received by insert date 21 days after the date of publication in the Federal Register. So if we are expecting this to go public on April 19th, where was it? On April 16th, you're going to add about 21 days to that. So somewhere in May, right? I'm not going to pull up the calendar, but I don't believe we really are going to see any real impact in semiconductor tariffs until those 21 days, and then some time, right, for all these hopefully entities to read it, to understand what's happening before just slapping tariffs into semiconductors and to semiconductor equipment players. So in my opinion, again, I could be completely wrong, but I would expect maybe at least some calmness in semiconductor tariff news, at least for the next 21 days or so. Now, here we can kind of see some of the things that they are looking for. First is kind of like the current and projected demand for semiconductors and SME in the United States, kind of the extent of domestic production, also the role of foreign fabrication and assembly, the concentration of United States semiconductor imports, including as embedded downstream products, for example, your laptops, your phones, and the list goes on and on. Economic impact, the impact of foreign government subsidies, and so much information. So again, Hopefully this takes some time, but at least it seems we have about 21 days. Now, my overall thoughts about this is obviously before kind of creating any shift into some form of trade, be it tariffs or anything, you need to have some understanding of what's crucial and what's not crucial for semiconductor players, especially when you're looking at things like national security. Like I mentioned in previous episodes, I think kind of things like consumer tech is not going to be too much of a concern of national security. So I think I'm still leaning that consumer tech is really going to get hit with forms of tariffs in the future. But it could be very kind of company dependent. We did see kind of I think if we go Apple and Trump tariffs, there are reports that Trump says that he is flexible, right? There's not going to be an exemption, but there's flexibility on how for example, maybe Apple can end up paying the United States somewhere or another to bring investments here into the United States. So I think for individual companies, there is going to be the ability to make a deal with the Trump administration, but I believe most consumer techs are going to get hit with some hefty tariffs. Now, based on this, I believe the administration wants to learn a little bit more of maybe, let's say, if we add a tariff to semiconductor equipment, how is that going to impact maybe the manufacturing of semiconductors here in the United States? And is it going to push them away, right? We're seeing TSMC and other players invest dramatically a nice amount of money in the United States to build manufacturing here. But if we make that more expensive, are we going to create kind of a major headwind and we're going to push them to go somewhere else? And I think that is going to be something that they're going to see the answer is yes. And we're most likely not going to get tariffs on semiconductor equipment. That's my overall hope and my overall thought process. Obviously, I could be wrong, but would love to hear your thoughts. I've talked about it in other videos, that I also believe the AI servers are not going to be tariffed, or if they are, not by much, because we do need AI servers to be here in the United States, because you do not want to lag in the AI race. That's the last thing I think. I think whatever country skips a beat in the AI race is going to be is going to lose a lot of power. And right now, United States is doing really good with a lot of great companies here developing artificial intelligence solutions. And I think that is crucial. So I am hopeful that AI servers won't fall in that list as well. So overall, I think what today's news is, while it's not any real new news, is that at least maybe for the next 21 days, we will get a little bit more peace within the tariff discussion. The other thing that I would want to say is, if you are maybe a semiconductor investor, I think this is going to be one of those great free publications, in my opinion, of research that one can look at if it is shared. I'm going to guess it is shared, or at least some information is shared, where we can kind of see where the semiconductor market is seeing some bottlenecks, some weakness, some strength. So I think it could be kind of like a nice research paper for investors down the line. So going to be something that I am going to be focused in reading. Now, the second thing we're going to take a closer look at is Nvidia. So Nvidia was down roughly 0.2% for the day, and after hours is down roughly 0.3%, 0.4%. I'm guessing the market might be a little bit scared of these national security alert. Obviously, anything kind of seeing like investigation, national security, in my opinion, automatically creates some form of negative sentiment. But we can see earlier this morning the stock was up. The main reason is Nvidia reported in a newsletter that they are going to manufacture American-made AI supercomputers in the United States for the first time. Nvidia Blackwell chips productions are starting in Arizona already, and Nvidia opens first U.S. factories pretty soon. So some might be wondering, Jose, how is Nvidia doing this? I didn't think Nvidia manufactured anything. That is exactly true. Nvidia itself doesn't manufacture anything, but they have a lot of partners that do. And we've kind of saw this before we look at this. This is a transcript of a question that came in during GTC Financial Analyst Q&A, which was March 19th, so about a month ago exactly, right? A little bit less than a month ago. And Jensen, the CEO of Nvidia, mentioned, in tariffs, we are preparing and we have been preparing to manufacture onshore. And TSMC's investment in $100 billion of fabs here in Arizona, the fab that they already have, we're in it. We are now running production silicon in Arizona, and so we will manufacture onshore. The rest of the systems we will manufacture as much onshore as we need to. And so I think the ability to manufacture onshore is not a concern of mine, as our partners we are the largest customers for many companies. And so they are excellent partners of ours. And I think everybody realizes that the ability to have onshore manufacturing and a very agile supply chain, which we have a super agile supply chain with manufacturing in so many places, we could shift things around. So tariffs will have little impact for us in the short term. So Nvidia is kind of the monster here when it comes to the AI market. And like they mentioned, a lot of these manufacturers, they are the biggest customers. So if they say, hey, look, we will somehow help you a little bit, build some of these factories online, maybe we can pay. One of the ways that they can help is they can pay ahead of time on some of their orders. So you can have that kind of commitment in plan. You can sign these long-term agreements on this. So you have so that company knows that, hey, look, if I build in the United States, it is definitely going to give me revenue for the multiple years of time. So Nvidia, I think, is going to be doing a lot of that, helping their manufacturing players either some form of investment, some form of prepayment, some form of long-term agreement, where they are giving kind of the money up front to help these manufacturers build online. And for Nvidia, I mean, $43 billion in cash and short-term investment right now. This company has plenty of cash. I mean, I don't think these factories that are going to be built, I think the most expensive are the fabs, but TSMC is already in that, right? TSMC is already building these fabs. These other manufacturing stuff that they have, I don't think is going to be anywhere the price of these manufacturing fabs. So Nvidia, in my opinion, has plenty of cash. So we can see Nvidia is working with its manufacturing partners to design and build factories that for the first time will produce Nvidia AI supercomputers entirely in the United States. Obviously, if you build in the United States, you're doing the following. You're going to ignore ignore any form of tariffs. You're also, in my opinion, going to get into the good side of the Trump administration or current administration, as you can say, hey, look, we are building something crucial which is needed for national security in the United States. This is something that can't happen overnight. So while we are investing, maybe you can kind of be a little bit easy on our products that are still coming in from other parts of the world. I think it could be, again, kind of that art of the deal, which everybody keeps talking about. The company has commissioned more than 1 million square feet of manufacturing space to build and test NVIDIA's Blackwell chips in Arizona and AI supercomputers in Texas. So the first thing is they have already started production of being a customer of TSMC's chip plant in Phoenix, Arizona. And NVIDIA is building supercomputer manufacturing plants in Texas with Foxconn, which is a major AI server builder, and in Houston with Wistron in Dallas. And they expect both to ramp up to start production within the next 12 to 15 months. They also mentioned some other companies that they're partnering up for packaging and testing operations like Amcor and SPIL. Now, within the next 4 years, and this is where sometimes the media and everybody goes a little bit crazy, NVIDIA is not investing $500 billion of its money into AI investments. What's happening is within the next 4 years, NVIDIA plans to produce up to $500 billion of AI infrastructure in the United States through partnerships with TSMC, Foxconn, and Wistron, Amcor, and SPIL. What I read from that is NVIDIA is expected to make at least $500 billion in revenue from AI infrastructure in the next 4 years or so. That's how I read it, right? Let's read it again. Within the next 4 years, NVIDIA plans to produce up to $500 billion of AI infrastructure in the United States. So I think NVIDIA, what it's trying to say is, look, our AI infrastructure solution, our AI chips, because we have them, because we are making them, you're going to have a lot of these data center companies invest a lot of money on data center infrastructure here in the United States. So if you didn't have our products, this AI chip, you wouldn't be able to have all this money coming into the United States. And I pretty much could say that NVIDIA can definitely argue with that. NVIDIA is also focusing on building a new type of data centers, which is kind of these AI factories. And these AI factories are expected expected to create hundreds of thousands of jobs and drive trillions of dollars in economic security over the coming decades. So Nvidia is kind of, in my opinion, playing the safe game, saying, look, we're going to build, we're going to manufacture here. Again, most of that risk is going on our partners, TSMC and everybody else. But thanks to the product that I make, we are going to have a lot of AI jobs, a lot of AI solutions, a lot of AI growth coming from economic security due to the innovations of my technology. So that's how I read it. Maybe I'm reading it completely wrong, but let me know what are your thoughts. Again, there were a lot of mistakes, in my opinion, all over social media and the overall media. And this is why this is the best place you're going to find any semiconductor news. Is even though Nvidia is my most bullish company, I'm not gonna say that they're definitely investing these $500 billion, because in reality they don't. But they're trying to make it to show evidence why they are crucial for the national security of the United States, and why they should be hopefully exempt from future rules, and why, while they're trying to build here in the United States, maybe their current products can be exempt, get a little tax credit here and there, get a little tariff credit here and there. They don't take a huge hit. So just like Jensen mentioned a month ago, tariffs will have a little impact for them in the short term. Long term, they are going to have manufacturing onshore. That was always the plan. Now, final news, TSMC is expected to report their first quarter 2025 earnings just a few days away, Thursday, April 17th. And this is one that I am going to be very, very curious on listening. The reason being, while I don't own TSMC, TSMC's management, in my opinion, is one that's really, really honest. If the market is going to crap, they'll be telling us, hey, look, things are looking bad. We're seeing our orders slow down. If the market is still looking pretty strong, they're going to tell us that. So management is one that I don't believe sugarcoats anything or tries to overhype anything. They say it how it is. And for that reason, while it's not in my portfolio, it's one that's very much a big mover in my overall thesis for the semiconductor space. Obviously, I would love to hear more about their overall investments here in the United States. Just in the past few months, they announced that extra $100 billion in revenue. Was that already $100 billion in investments within the next 4 years? Was that type of capital expenditure already included in some of the guidance that they gave before, or are they going to increase that guidance even more based on this new investment? Also, what are their thoughts on future capital expenditure as well? To me, everything here, in my opinion, is telling me that maybe semiconductor equipment players could have a nice amount of time, at least for the foreseeable future, because right, you're building more manufacturing here in land, you're going to do more form of advanced testing, of advanced packaging. So there's a lot of equipment players, and like I mentioned, TSMC is expected to invest a nice amount here in the United States in forms of manufacturing. You also have Intel, so I think equipment players definitely have a nice tailwind to possibly boost those stocks. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.